Republic of the Philippines is now in session. The Honorable Judge presiding.
Everyone but the jury may be seated. Mr. Danao, please swear in the jury.
Everyone, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly listen to this case and render a true verdict and a fair sentence as to this defendant?
I do.
You may be seated.
Members of the jury, your duty today will be to determine whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty, based only on facts and evidence provided in this case. The prosecution has the burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt. This burden remains on the prosecution through the trial. The prosecution must prove that a crime was committed and the defendant is the person who committed the crime. However, if you are not satisfied with the defendant's guilt to that extent that reasonable doubt exists and the defendant must be found not guilty. Mr. Danao, what is today's case?
Your Honor, today's case is the people of the Philippines versus Rogelio Ali E. Campesino.
Is the prosecution ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Prosecutor, you may proceed to state what you represent.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor, and members of the jury. I am the prosecutor Kadaingan, standing as the people of the Philippines. We intend to prove that Mr. Rogelio Ali E. Campesino is guilty beyond reasonable doubt of violating Section 4, Republic Act 6425, Dangerous Drugs Act of 1972 as amended. Please find the person that is liable for this charge and give a lawful punishment according to the committed crime. Thank you.
Defense, you may proceed to state what you represent.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, members of the jury, my name is Masende Maraya, representing as the attorney of Rogelio Ali Y. Campesino in this case. We intend to prove that the guilt of appellant Ali has not been established beyond reasonable doubt. Please guide this hearing with equalness so that the lawful punishment is in accord with the committed crime. Thank you.
Mr. Prosecutor, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Sergeant Alejandro Binyan.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. You may be seated.
Mr. Prosecutor, you may proceed to cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Binyan, ano ang araw na lumapit ang informant nyo na may sinasabing may nagbibenta ng marijuana?
August 6, Prosecutor.
Bakit ninyo pinaniwalaan agad ang inyong informant?
Dahil kayo na inala at matunog na yung pangalan ni Alice sa subdivision na
Sergeant Binyan, maaaring ibang ibigay ang bidang ng tao ninyo or informant.
isa lang ang aming informant, pero hindi pwedeng sabihin ang specific identity ng ating informant.
Sergeant Binyan, thank you. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
The defense, you may proceed to cross-examine the witness of prosecution.
Thank you, Your Honor. August 6, 1984 was the only instance wherein the informer according to you revealed an information regarding drug association.
We received the information before that operation on August 6, 1984.
Now, you mentioned about a briefing. That briefing was conducted by you, Rosaroso and Revetera alone.
Yes, ma'am.
Where was your informant?
The informant is already in our office after we have received such information.
And you did not say anything to the informant despite the alleged briefing.
We gave this instruction to our informant.
Particularly what?
That is confidential.
In other words, you cannot tell the court specifically what instruction you give to your informant in connection with the alleged arrest of the accused.
We have given others some instruction that he will act pusher buyer, and he will buy 4 sticks of marijuana sticks and using 5 peso bills to the suspect arrested.
Your Honor, that's all. Thank you.
The witness, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Prosecutor, you may call your second witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Sergeant Eudosio Rosoroso.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
Mr. Prosecutor, you may proceed to cross-examine the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Rosoroso, I have a question. Ano ang nag-udyok sa inyo na magsampa ng kaso para kay Mr. Ali?
Dahil kahinahinala ang lugar ni Mr. Ali.
Bakit kahinahinala ang lugar na yun ang nag-udyok sa inyo na arestuin si Mr. Rogelio Ali?
Dahil kadalasan sa mga sangkot sa droga ay nabibilang sa mga liblib na lugar or lugar ni Mr. Ali. Prosecutor.
Thank you, Sergeant Rosoroso. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all.
The defense, you may proceed to cross-examine the witness of prosecution.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Rosaroso, when you told the Honorable Court that your suspect accused Rogelio Ali delivered your informant the alleged 4 marijuana sticks of cigarettes, that is only your opinion and presumption because you never heard their conversation.
I know that is a marijuana cigarette stick which were delivered to our informant because of the signal given to us by our informant.
Will you please tell us again what prompted you and Sergeant Peña to outright arrest the person of the accused?
Because we saw personally the accused when he got the money from our informant and he delivered the marijuana cigarette. That is why we arrested.
Are we made to understand from you that with that distance you can already identify as to whether or not those were marijuana cigarettes?
Yes, ma'am, because our informant gave us the signal that the selling was already consummate. That's why we Sergeant Binyan, immediately arrest the accused.
Is there any chances that your informer is very well knew the person and identity of the suspect before he related to you about his act of drug pushing?
The one that we used as a pusher buyer was a different person to that who gave the information to us.
In other words, Sergeant, you would rather not agree with the statement of Sergeant Binyan to that effect that it was the same informer who was used by you and Sergeant Binyan to act as a pusher buyer.
I will not agree because I know that they were different persons.
So that this particularly informant, after having been informed by that alleged concerned citizen that there was a drug pushing at Galleries Street, of course you and your detachment commander, including Sergeant Binyan, instructed him to act as a pusher buyer where the informant just really agreed.
Yes, ma'am. Our informant really agreed.
After your informant received this 2 marked 5 piso bill, you and your office further instructed the informant that in Gallery Street, where there is an alleged drug pusher, you should instigate the drug pusher that you should buy marijuana sticks.
Yes, we instructed him to come with us and further instructed him If any person who would approach him to sell, you should buy that cigarette.
Considering that the concerned citizen relayed information to your office that there was drug pusher who allegedly turned out either to be the accused selling marijuana, cigarettes in Gather Street, and that this information was in turn relayed to your alleged informant. My question is, when your alleged informant saw for the first time the accused Rogelio Ali, he knew already the person of Rogelio Ali.
He told us that, that he recognized, he only identified the face, but he did not know his name.
Your Honor, that's all. Thank you.
To the witness, you may step down.
Your Honor, thank you.
To the defense, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Isidro Nunes to present his testimony.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
Good day, Mr. Nunes. Is Mr. Cabangay and you were friends with Mr. Campisenio?
Not really. Companseño is just someone we know, since he's a pinboy, billiard keeper, and collector of fees at the recreation center when we are always playing at.
Based on your statement, you and Mr. Cabangay are always playing at that center. Do you perhaps see how that sergeant conducted the arrest toward Mr. Campisenio?
Yes, I saw the two of us. Marcos Cabangay were playing billiards when Ali arrived. While Cabangay and Ali were conversing, Sergeant Benyan and Crosaroso, who had been in the hall earlier, suddenly arrested Ali, dragged him outside the recreation hall, and Benyan dipped his hands into the pockets of Ali while Crosaroso kept him immobilized.
Your Honor, that's all. Thank you.
To the witness, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
To the defense, you may call your second witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call to the stand Marcos Cabangay to present his testimony about the arrest.
Will the witness please stand to be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated.
Good day, Mr. Marcos Cabangay. You and Mr. Menes is at the recreation center in Tagbileran of the Knights of Columbus, while the arrest for Mr. Campisenio is conducted, right?
Yes, Mom. I was the one he's been chatting with before the arrest happened.
Can you please tell in this court what exactly happened at that time of arrest?
Ali and I are chatting that time. When suddenly Mr. Vinyan and Mr. Rosaroso arrested my companion Ali. They dragged him outside the recreational hall where Mr. Vinyan started searching Ali while Mr. Rosaroso held the arms of Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Cabangay. Your Honor, that's all, and thank you.
To the witness, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
To the prosecution, you may proceed to your closing argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the jury, today you have heard the testimony of the two sergeants who conducted the arrest of Mr. Abel. Prior to their testimony, Sergeant Rosaroso and Sergeant Binyan stated that their informant's testimony is sufficient to press charge with the accused. Please find their client to be guilty or liable to the criminal cases charged with him. That's all. Your Honor, thank you.
The defense, you may proceed to your closing argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the jury, today you have heard testimony about how the two sergeants conducted the arrest. I would like to remind you of some important information that you should consider in your decision. These facts include if the sale of prohibited drugs was actually seen by Sergeant Binyan and Sergeant Rosaroso, there would have been no need for you to wait for a signal from the pusher buyer to indicate that the transaction had been completed before closing in and arresting the appellant. Prior to his giving the above statements, Rosaroso had already testified that the informer did not personally know the suspect at the time of the sale. It is hard to believe that appellant Ali will greedily sell marijuana cigarettes to a buyer he does not know. According to appellant Ali, the reason why he was arrested was because there was a time in July 1984 that Rosaroso, together with other military men, played billiard at the Key of Sea Recreation Center where he worked. And when Ali asked Rosaroso to pay for the billiard game, the leader told him, "You have no respect to a military man." And that Rosaroso further threatened that there will be a time he will make a revenge. Please find their client, Rogelio Ali Y. Compensenio, not guilty. Thank you, Your Honor.
Members of the jury, you have heard all of the testimony concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine the facts. You and you alone are the judges of the fact. Once you decide what facts the evidence proves, you must then apply the law as I give it to you, the facts as you find them. In just a moment, the bailiff will take you to the jury room to consider your verdict. One of the first things you will want to do is to select a foreperson that will preside over your deliberations, the way that a chairperson does at a meeting. It will be the foreperson's duty to decide the verdict form when you have agreed on a verdict. Whatever verdict you render must be unanimous. That is, each and every person must agree on the same verdict. The bailiff will now escort you to the deliberation room.
Everyone, please all rise.
Have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What can you say about the case?
We, the jury, in the case of the people of the Philippines versus Rogelio Ali E. Campanseño, find the defendant not guilty of the charge of violating Section 4 Republic Act 6425, the Dangerous Drug Act of 1972. This court cannot give full credit to the testimonies of prosecution witnesses, marked as they are with contradiction and tainted with inaccuracies.
Thank you, jury, for your service today. The Constitution and the law are clear that in case of reasonable doubt, the accused must be acquitted. Our jurisprudence is built around the concept that it's preferable for the guilt to remain unpunished than for an innocent person to suffer a long prison term unjustly. All considered, we hold that the guilt of appellant Ale has not been established beyond reasonable doubt. Wherefore, the appeal decision is reversed and set aside, and the appellant is hereby acquitted on grounds of reasonable doubt. So ordered.